What's up, everybody? It's Johnny from Lionsdale. This is the second half of the personal finance and financial literacy videos. And so, we got into it last time. It's just too deep a topic. I'm too passionate about it, and we had to chop it into two halves. So first things first, real quick disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor, right? I'm not a fiduciary. I don't work in personal finance. So everything here is just what has worked for me, what I've studied in tons and tons of books, seminars, and courses, and take it as advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't do this for a living, right? And so this is just what worked for me, and I'd love to help you with that. And all of my clients that have followed any of these techniques have all really benefited from it, and they're so happy about it. So take that for what it's worth, and just know I don't work in the financial industry. All right, let's jump in. So if you missed the first one, we talked about, the levels of poor, middle class, upper class, and rich. We talked about the energy levels, a little bit about having different languages, and kind of where their thoughts are on debt and what they're struggling with, what their particular problems are. We talked a little bit about getting out of debt and paying yourself first, and then we're going to get into more advanced stuff here. So first things first, we talked a little bit about paying yourself first and how important that is. So we'll just chat about that real quick before we move into the other topics. So paying yourself first is so important. Just like we talked about in the last one, it's just like your taxes. The US government takes money out of your check automatically because they know you're not going to have it at the end of the year, and you just want to treat yourself like that. And the reason I bring it up again is I forgot to tell the story in the last video. So my daughter, I actually learned this secret. If you've ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the premise of that book is that the rich teach secrets to their kids that the poor middle class do not. And I read that book at 37, and it totally changed my life. My girlfriend read that book at 14, changed her life, but she was 14 years old, so she's had all that benefit of it. And one of those secrets is paying yourself first. And for me, when I learned this, the first thing I did is I taught my daughter this concept when she was doing chores, and we did allowance. And then as she got older and she started earning real income from real jobs, I made her keep 50% of everything she earned and paid herself first. So that went into a college account or a personal spending account, depending on what the money was coming from. But we took 50% of that and we separated that first. And now she could only use the other 50% for whatever she needed to use for paying bills. She didn't have a lot of bills as a kid, right? But paying for stuff she needed to pay for, like gas in the car and that kind of stuff. And this premise is so important. When you teach to the kids, when the kids learn it when they're young, it's just a way of life, and it changes things completely. So for me, I really wish that I would have learned this when I was a kid instead of 37. It would have saved me so much struggle. So I just point that out because my daughter now knows that whatever she makes, 50% is going away. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter what her budget is. Now when she thinks about what kind of apartment can she afford, what kind of car can she afford, it comes from that 50% of the income. And that changes your landscape completely. And that 50%, we're going to talk about in this video, that 50% of money that you're putting away is going to earn you more money, which is so powerful. This is how you get ahead in life on finances. It's incredible. So anyways, just wanted to backtrack a little bit and tell you that little story because it's so important. And I wish I would have learned it about 20 years before I did. All right, let's jump in. So we talked about paying yourself first, getting out of debt, and we're getting into basic investing. So basic investing, there is a couple different ways we can do this. I'm going to tell you a couple of my favorite ways, different types of account, different types of basic investing, and then we'll get into a little bit more advanced stuff. I'll just tell you a little bit about the advanced things. I will tell you about the types of accounts you can have for investing and the benefits of each and kind of the order that I would recommend going in. If this is interesting to you and you want to dive even deeper, like I said, this is the second half of 2 because it's just such an interesting topic for me. I'm so passionate about it, and it has such an impact for all my clients that I want to tell you more. If you want to get even deeper, we have a free webinar coming up. Just click the description down below in the video. Register for the free webinar. We're going to go dive deeper into financial literacy, into personal finance, financial freedom, which is where it's really at, and topics surrounding that. So go ahead and click the link in the description below and sign up for the free webinar. It'd be awesome. Cool. So basic investing. So if you pay yourself first, which is so important, you got to get some percentage of your money getting to yourself in a separate account that you can't see. And once it's there, we got to make that money make more money. So the premise of investing is making money off of money. Let's just say it that way. As you hear this message, you have to have money to make money. That's not true. You can make money from just your skill, your labor, whatever. But once you have it, what you do with it is so important. So the first thing we got to do is we got to get it to a separate account. We got to make that money make more money. So the easiest way to start investing is just a simple index fund in the stock market. So there's a book that I will definitely recommend. It's called The Simple Path to Wealth by something Collins. I can't remember. He's a rad dude, but The Simple Path to Wealth by somebody Collins. He's amazing. And I love this book. I love his approach because it is simple. It's really easy to follow. And I just love his approach. He's like a crazy uncle kind of approach. And basically what his premise is, you can do all kinds of research in the stocks. You can try and buy the next big trend. You can buy what you know and all kinds of stuff. All these things. It takes a lot of work, and most big hedge fund investors can't beat the index funds. And the index funds are just big funds like the S&P 500, like the... I won't even get into the other ones because I'm most familiar with the S&P 500. I don't want to misquote it. But essentially, you're buying a bunch of stocks in a certain focus. So I'm going to focus on the U.S. stock market. You can buy the U.S. stock market. You can buy the S&P 500 fund, and it buys the top 500 companies in America. Buy stock in all of them. And it's once you put your money in there, that's what you're buying, and it's automatic. It's invested. You don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about picking different companies. You don't have to worry about rebalancing. You don't have to worry about shifting money from here and there and back and forth. What you're really investing in an S&P 500 fund, you're just betting on America. You're betting on the money increasing in America, the top 500 companies. And so the way I think about this is two things. One, do you think that American industry as a whole is going to be more valuable in the future or less valuable, even just through inflation, right? Do you think today's dollars are going to be worth more in the future, or are they going to be worth less in the future? And by the future, I mean 1 year, also 10 years, also 20 years. What do you think? It's going to grow, right? Just through inflation, it's going to grow, right? And the second piece is, if you're investing in the top 500 companies in America, if that did not give you a return, if that wasn't going well, do you think you'd have bigger problems than just your money staying in the account? And what I mean by that is, if the top 500 companies in America tank, there's a massive reason for that, and we probably got bigger problems like a world war or something like that. So for me, and the premise of this book is that S&P 500 is a very safe way to put your money, watch it grow without you having to do a ton of stuff. And it's relatively safe investment because you're betting on the top 500 companies in America to do well. And that seems like a pretty safe bet for me. So my recommendation is register for an index fund. There are other index funds out there. You can research them. Quick Google search, ChatGPT, ask them what an index fund is. What's the top ones? SPY is one of them. Vanguard has a bunch of funds like that. And just check it out. It's pretty simple and easy way to just watch your money grow. So index funds are a super interesting way to go. Easy stuff, and I really recommend that. So basic investing, I'd say start there. You can also start with savings accounts, certificates of deposits, high yield interest savings accounts, that kind of stuff. It's just you're going to get a lower return. And so the big thing on investing, investors get paid for risk. So the more risk you take on, the more you're going to get paid for it. You're going to get paid a better interest rate. When you leave your money in a savings account, you get paid the least amount of interest because it's not very risky. It's insured by the federal government, all that good stuff. And you usually get paid almost nothing, less than 1%, usually less than 4% for sure. When you get even to the high yield savings accounts where you have, tens and tens of thousands of dollars in there, and you're really not even keeping up with inflation. So if you put your dollar in the mattress, right, in 10 years, that dollar is going to be worth less because of inflation. If you put that money into a savings account that earns less than 1%, it's going to be worth a little bit more, but it's still not even going to keep up with inflation. If you put it into the stock market, like an S&P 500 index fund, typically returns somewhere average around 10% over like a 7-year span, 12-year span, somewhere in there. You're gonna actually beat inflation, and you're gonna start making money, and it's gonna compound on top of itself. So my recommendation, if you're new to investing, just stick with the index fund and take all your money that you paid yourself first with, throw it in there. So how do you do that? There's a couple different types of accounts. So you've heard of 401ks, I bet, if you're an employee. 401k is a retirement plan from your employer. Maybe you've heard of a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k. Maybe not. That's a really cool one. And then we've got actually a bunch of different options, but the other one I'll talk about is just a standard brokerage account, which is just you go to like Fidelity, Robinhood, Edward Jones or whatever, and you just open up a brokerage investing account, a stock market account. So these different accounts are different ways of working. They give you different benefits, and there's different levels. So the first thing is 401k. What is that? 401k is an employee-sponsored retirement plan where you will contribute money, they will contribute money, and it will go towards your retirement. Big thing about this is it's a really cool way to save because, again, it's paying yourself first. It's automatic. You don't get to touch it, which is really helpful for a lot of people, including me when I was younger. But you can only use the funds when you're ready to retire, or not ready when you're ready to retire, when the federal government says you're ready to retire, which is right now, I think it's 65, somewhere around there. So you can't touch any of your money until later. So when you're in the poor level and when you're in the middle class level, this is actually a really good option because you can't touch it and it's saving for a rainy day when you don't have income, which is really cool. But if you want to jump to new levels, you want to be able to use your money faster and faster. So 401k is a great option when your employer gives you money. So there's a 401k match. When you're employed and your employer has a 401k match, that means that they're going to give you money if you put in money. So let's say most employers will match up to 3%. So that means that your employer is going to give you up to 3% of your paycheck if you also give up to 3% of your paycheck. And this is the best investment there is from this point of view, because they're giving you free money. They're going to give you 3% if all you have to do is give 3%. So if you give 3%, all of a sudden you're making 6%. That's free money. Take it, jump on it. You're not going to be able to touch it until you're retirement age, but they're giving you free money. Jump on that. Put 3% in. And my advice to you is match whatever you can because it's free money. You're just simply getting paid more, right? So if they match, 6%, 7%, 8%, my advice would be jump on that and have them give you more and more money because they're just giving it to you. That's a 401k. So a Roth is really cool, a really cool option. It's also a retirement plan, but it's a pre-tax retirement plan, right? And so the really cool thing about a Roth is when you put money in, the taxes get taken out right away versus a 401k, they don't take out taxes until you start pulling out the principal when you're retired, right? The Roth pulls out the taxes now. And why that's important is you can actually use the principal of the Roth account now, and the returns, all the interest that you make on the account is going to be tax-free completely. So a 401k, it's just tax deferred, right? So you make money now, you don't have to pay taxes until later, until you retire, until you pull it out. With a Roth, it's tax-free completely. So they take taxes out of the principal that you put in, and then the interest that you make on top of that is completely tax-free. So it's not tax defer, it's tax-free. And so think about that, maybe that's like 20%, 22%, depending on what your bracket is. That's at the lower level. Imagine if you're saving 20% on your investments every year. Like compound growth, that's just massive. So the best investment account that you can do on a basic level is a Roth IRA for me. Absolutely incredible. Take taxes up front, and then afterwards, all your gains are completely tax-free. So 401k match is the first step. If they're going to give you free money, take free money. And then Roth IRA, it's completely tax-free, which saves you around 20% a year, which is just massive. Next thing is just traditional 401k. If you want to contribute to a 401k and just make money when you're retired, that's a really cool thing to have that nest egg when you're not earning money anymore. That's not my path. I want to become financially free as soon as possible. And so I skip the 401k completely and I go straight to the brokerage account. So a brokerage account is just standard. You open it up with any of the companies. Robinhood is a really easy way to do it on your phone. You can do Fidelity, you can do Edward Jones, and that's just a simpler way to buy stocks, bonds, that kind of stuff. Gives you access to all those things. Really easy to set up. Robinhood's the easiest. That's what I use all the time. And you can just go in there and start buying stocks. And like I said, I would suggest buying index funds. And maybe read that book, Simple Path to Wealth, which is a really, really cool book. It explains it super simply. And so that's the level I would do it. If you get 401k match from your employer, do that. After that, after they stop matching, put anything excess if you want to into the Roth as much as you can, because you can only contribute about $6,000 today, maybe 6,600 today this year. So I would max that out, and then the next step is go straight to a brokerage account. And you can do 401k if you want to. For me, it's not my thing, because I want to use my money now, and I don't want to focus on waiting until I'm retired, because you're going to pay taxes on the money either way. There's no benefit to me. The only benefit is that it's locked away and I can't touch it. That's the only cool part, but I don't want to not touch it till I'm 65. Okay, so that's the different levels. That's a different type of accounts for investments. And that's the order in which I would do it again. So like I mentioned in the last video, we actually put together a free spreadsheet, a free budget template. It's down in the description of the video below. So if you're new to investing, if you're new to budgeting, if you're new to personal finance, click that link. It's got a really simple calculator. It just takes your inputs, takes your outputs, tells you how much money you got coming in from what sources, it tells you how much money that's going out from what sources, and how much you actually have left over for yourself, and how much you're paying yourself first, which is the most important piece. So click that down in the description below. Okay, so we got into types of basic investing in index funds. We got into the types of accounts and the order in which I would suggest investing, and the benefits for each one. There are some more advanced topics, like investing, taking that money that you pay yourself first, which again is like the real big step here, right? You can hear that all of this depends on that and what you can do with that. And we can get into investing that into real estate, which is something that I do, and investing that into a health savings account, which is a really cool tax deferred account that's deserves its own video. And then a bunch of different investment vehicles. And one big thing is an energy shift and a mindset shift to only buying things that make you money. So we talked about assets and liabilities in the last video. And one big thing is only buying things that make you money. And so that's the last thing I'll end this video with, is if there's one mindset that I really want to get across, one big tip besides paying yourself first, it's that when I've changed from buying toys, when I got money and there was leftover at the end of the day, and I went to buy something for my hobbies, new mountain bike or whatever, when that shifted to, instead of buying that, I want to buy more of that index fund, so that the index fund is paying me every month, and then I can use that money to then go buy a mountain bike. That's when everything changed. So the book Rich Dad Poor Dad is all about this. Robert Kiyosaki, the author, is all about using assets to pay for your liabilities. This is a massive shift. If you can just get in love with your money making more money, if you can just make that your hobby, if you can just focus on that and the joy and the benefit of that, your mindset will totally change. And this is what really shifted for me, is that I learned all these principles on what to do, and then I really just fell in love with, okay, now my money can make more money. I can use this money to what? Buy another property, to invest more in the stock market, to invest in so many different things. And now those investments are going to pay me monthly. And with that monthly money, now I can buy a mountain bike. So now my money is making money and I get that thing I wanted. It's just a little bit delayed. And that is so cool. It's such a cool mindset shift. Way too much to dive into a simple video like this. That's 100% mentorship topic. That's deeper level, because you got to have guides through this. It gets really confusing. But I'll leave you with that. If this really spoke to you, if this is your jam, if you're like, man, I didn't know anything about this, or something on here really clicked for you, and you're like, I want to learn more about that, there's a link down below in the description to book a call with me to chat about our mentorship program and see if it's a good fit for you, because this stuff is super deep. This is just scratching the surface, and what you really need is somebody that's been where you want to be, so they can guide you, because that is the biggest secret to personal growth, whether it's financial, whether it's emotional, whether it's anything you want to do in life, is that getting a mentor that's already done what you want to do is the biggest life hack for growth. It's just insane. So there's a link down below. Book a call with me, completely free. We'll just chat, see if we're a good fit for each other, and see if I can help you get to where you would like to be with your goals. It would be amazing. So treat today. You can treat today, let's say it that way. You can treat today as one day I'm gonna start working on my finances. Or you can treat it as day one. Today is gonna be the first day that I'm working on my finances. And I hope you choose the latter. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you soon. Cheers.